far this is the third video I think on the Mini Maxi. Just a bit of a recap. First one we got it running and unseized. Second one we've been trying to chase down this horrible noise that it makes when it's running. So far no good, but we also sorted out the fuel system so it now runs from its own tank, and yeah, chasing down this noise. I'm thinking of just rebuilding the whole engine, but that's a video for another time, because at the moment my workshop looks like this because I've been building a conservatory. So I'm up to there, I'm getting the roof on today, but yeah, so that's been good practice for building the workshop. The workshop is starting in earnest next week. It's Saturday now, so I'll be getting the hardcore down and everything probably Wednesday, because I'm working Monday, Tuesday. So the wife expects concrete by the end of the week to be finished. So I better bloody hurry up, hadn't I? So anyway, yeah, once that's done I'll rebuild the engine, but for now I'm just thinking of things we can do to sort of tidy it up. So cosmetic stuff, probably starting with this. Now I think I have a spare Tomos Speedo that might fit in there, so I will go find one in my spare store. Here's our candidate, complete with red fork covers, and there's a 14mm nut on the back, holds this bracket on. Just undo that, the bracket comes off and the Speedo pops out the top. Interesting. On the back, look, it says the date that the Speedo was made, which might give me some indication as to when the bike was made, which is quite cool. So a little Tomos side note for you there. I've never actually seen this bike because it was just some parts I bought in a job lot, but yeah, apparently it was from a bike that was made at least after, what, September '84. So it's newer than me. For time and money, we're going to turn to this rotten out Tomos for the Speedo cable, which apparently was made in... I'm going to look that up actually. I'm going to see when this was made in a minute. But yeah, it's just one nut there, one down the bottom. Hold on. There's one down the bottom. They're finger nuts though, so I'm using this because they're stuck on. Here's this somewhat unpleasant cable. Incidentally, that other bike is a May 1980. So that's pretty cool, it's older than me. But anyway, enough about Tomoses, this is about a Mini Maxi. So, next step will be to pull, from that end, because you can only do it one way. Pull the inner out of the outer cable and grease it. It's not in great condition, but I'll replace it at a later date. It's more just to see if I can get it to work. Yes, so my phone wedges perfectly between the sides of that dashboard that I took the Speedo out of, so you're now on top of a cement mixer on there. It's brilliant. I wish I could take a picture and show you. So, anyway, here's what we're doing. I bet it's not going to be in focus or in shot. See, it can only come one way because that's got a shoulder on it to stop it sliding down. Ta-da! Then you just put a load of grease on the inner and then put it back together. Okay, so it's greasing time. Sounds terrible, doesn't it? Normally I'd put gloves on, but since I've been covered in creosote all day, I don't suppose it make much difference. I'm going to try and straighten out all these bits as well and get the rust off. So it does have some little benty bits. I want to move you up a bit. There, some little bent bits and stuff, especially on the ends. Bit of carb cleaner won't go amiss either, but that's down the other end of the garden, so I'm not going to bother. Now, apparently you're not supposed to grease the last 3 inches so it doesn't all go up inside your Speedo, but bearing in mind you then thread it in from that end so it's all in the top anyway. The top's going to get greased so it doesn't miss out on lubrication. It just stops it all piling up at the top end. So, starting from about there, just going to go for it. Great. And try and thread it back in there. Can't see what I'm doing, can I? There we are. Oh, this is where you get covered. I'm sure you all know all this already, by the way. But yeah, it needs to be lubricated because the Speedo drive actually twists that cable. Normally on control cables it pulls and pushes, doesn't it? But it actually twists that, and that's how the Speedo gets the speed reading. So it needs to be really well lubricated. I'm not over impressed with this. I take it that's my nice new transmission oil. It's all pissed out everywhere. Not impressed. So, in order to get the Speedo attached, I need to take off the cowling here, which I think only is held on by one screw at the top and then a clip at the bottom, under there somewhere. I can't see any other fixings that might keep it on, so I'm hoping that's all it is, because that'll be a nice easy job. Then it's just a case of slide the Speedo through and bolt the bracket onto the back of it that holds it in place, and then screw in the cable. Okay, so screw with a washer, and that's it. Brilliant. Nice and easy. I will... Oh, it's not even got the washer. It's just the plastic looks a bit like a washer. So, just take that nut off. I'm sure you get the idea. There we are, that's that installed. A poop with a Tomos Speedo. I've been having a quick look at this wiring as well. I think that switch is an on-off for the indicator box, which is obviously battery powered, so you don't want to leave it on all the time. I think this little indicator light obviously must be aftermarket as well, if the whole indicator system's aftermarket. I still haven't decided whether it would have originally come with one and this is just a replacement or what. Maybe it's a bit like the horn, which now isn't working. Sad times. That is just a replacement over the top of the original one that's still here. So anyway, got to attach the cable now and put it back through. I'm not sure if I'm going to leave this whole situation on, or if I'm going to use, I've got a 5-wire coil off another Kickstart Maxi, which should have enough snot to run the indicators as well, in which case we don't need this, but I like the quirkiness of it. So if we don't need it, I think I've got another one of these fairing cowl things, so I'll be taking that out and all that again and fitting that one, but I don't know for sure, so we're going to have to see. There's also the fact that there doesn't seem to be any power to this little bulb here, which is obviously the one that lights up the Speedo. Now I could just pull power off there, and I might end up doing that. We will see. And this is just mains electrical cable, this white one, that goes down into this rat's nest. So I think, put the front end back together. I'll be opening it up again in future, but since it's only one screw, it's not such a big thing. Put the Speedo cable on, test that by spinning the front wheel, and then drop the engine, because I've got some tune-up parts on order, so hopefully we'll be able to rebuild that next week. So that, I think, is the next plan. It's never that easy, is it? So normally on most bikes the Speedo drive is pointing out that way, so the cable would come round and like that, and I'm hoping that that'll take up enough of this stupid slack. However, obviously it's a shorter bike with smaller wheels, it's going to need a shorter one of these anyway, so I may see if I can get a proper one, but in the meantime, if I can just turn this around 90 degrees, it might give us just what we need. So the whole axle's now spinning, so I've got to take the brake plate side off. Because that seems looser. And we'll come at it from that angle. Okay. So yeah, that is still locked on. that and move the whole thing. And what's keeping the brake plate in one place? Nothing. Let's try this one on. Good bearings. This is going to go on for days, isn't it? Excellent. In fact, they look like they may have been done recently. This is going to be such a bastard to get back together, isn't it? Right, let's try again. It's going to rub against the tyre anyway, so it's going to need changing. But we've got this far. I don't think this cable is going to work actually. There doesn't seem to be enough of the square end stuck out of it, but let's try it. Okay, you stay up here and watch while I spin the wheel. Did it move? It's hard to tell, isn't it? I don't think that the stub stuck out the bottom of the cable's working, so I'm going to ditch this and go on to something else. So next job is remove the engine, and in order to do that, I'm going to take the carb off because we've already cleaned that out. Undo the chain, the exhaust, and the cables, and it should just fall out basically. Although the stand is also attached to the engine, so the whole bike will fall off the engine rather than the other way around. But there we are. So I'll crack on with that. About it. And if this pump's going to come off with the engine as well, I'm going to have to disconnect an oil line somewhere as well, probably this one, which is going to go everywhere, which is going to be great, isn't it? Oh well. What do you notice wrong here? It's a bit weird, isn't it? I wonder what else we're going to find. I've removed one of these. I've taken the chain off, you just remove the master link. I've undone the bolts for the exhaust so it can flap down out of the way. I've now got to undo that bit to take the whole carb off in one go, and then there's 3 bolts hold the engine on. One here, one behind this airbox, there, and one down here. The only thing is, the stand is attached to the engine, so that you're going to have to find somewhere to prop your bike up. Also, unplug that. In fact, I can't actually tell from this side. I think the coil's attached to the frame rather than the engine. If it's attached to the engine, the whole lot comes off in one. Undo the wiring, which is just a chocolate block adapter somewhere here, rat's nestville. And then in this case, I'm going to have to undo the pipes from the oil pump, or at least the pipe that goes from the tank, and then let the tank drain into something, and the whole engine will drop down basically, or you can lift the bike off the engine. Here's a quick look at the overly elaborate wiring situation. As much as anything, I've taken pictures of it just so that I know how it went back together. So today I'm going to be stripping the engine of all the extra bits like the coil and the stand and the kickstarter and the oil pump, in order to strip it down and rebuild it, which will be the next episode. So I thought it would be quite a good idea to have a look inside here and see how the oil pump works, and work out whether or not we're just going to delete it altogether and run premix, or try and get it to work properly. So the oil pump's fallen off. It was only held on by the one screw anyway that holds on the flywheel cover, and it's just the shaft there is split and it goes into there, which I'm assuming means, yeah, it only turns, it's only pumping oil when that's ridiculous. It's only pumping oil when you're actually moving. Why would you do that? Why would that be a good idea? In what universe? Might be worth stripping it down and having a look at it anyway, just to see what it's like. I can see a bearing there, which is plastic shielded, nylon shielded. I can't really see me reusing this because of the whole not being lubricated while it's ticking over issue. But still, I think it'll make an interesting little side note to take it to bits, so that's what we're going to do. Okay, so the main thing that seems to be holding this together is these two big screws here. It's also, I think it says Mikuni under there. It's quite hard to tell because this stub's in the way. But let's undo the beast. And that's quite annoying as well, that that's in the way. They're not adjustable at all. Other things I've noticed are, that would be the purge bleed screw to let air out the system when you first fill it up. And I assume that there's some sort of gearing will come out of there, but at the moment I can't find the right size screwdriver to take that bit apart. So at the very least, if we get these two out, we can have a brief look at what makes this thing tick, even if we can't get all of the way in. We'll try that with a smaller screwdriver. Now we've cracked it off, we don't need the big one. I still don't quite understand the point of having an oil injection pump that doesn't inject oil when the clutch isn't engaged, because while you're stationary, you're also not getting the cooling of wind going past the fins, and the oil actually helps to cool the engine down and stop it seizing up. So as well as being totally unlubricated, it's also pretty much got no cooling. So you'd think they'd design it so it does more oil in while it was stationary. Right, that would appear to be as far in as we can get with that. There's a little oil seal there. So to go any further I need to find a screwdriver that fits that, so I shall return shortly. I think that was water in there, so that's not a good sign. So, what does that do then? Okay, so when this turns, it turns a drive wheel going that way, which in turn turns this, which... I see. So I don't know if you can see, there's a little sort of ramp on there, and as this goes revolving around there, it catches the ramp and goes like that, which will pump oil. Can you see? Coming in and out of there. So that's how it works. I thought that there might be more scope for broken seals and that sort of thing in there. I mean, the teeth look good. I'm so out of focus, it's unreal, aren't I? Hang on. There we are. Right, the teeth look good on this. That's the action that actually pumps the oil. So I'm assuming it, yeah, there's a little hole in the side, so as it's revolving, it gets gravity fed in, maybe at that angle. Hang on, which way round does this thing go? Right. So yeah, gets gravity fed in and squirted out as it revolves. So there we are. I can't see there being any problem with that. The passages don't appear to be blocked or anything. I think it just wasn't working literally because I wasn't revving hard enough. But I don't like that. I don't like that at all. Ugh. I don't like that because, as I said, it doesn't lubricate it when it needs lubricating. But I'll put it back together and we'll continue on with our engine stripping mission. This doesn't feel very nice. It feels almost as if it's cross-threaded or something. Just to briefly show you, somebody's mushed up the threads on the cotter pin, so that's going to be a struggle to get out without snapping it off or something equally as horrific. So I'm probably going to try applying a bit of heat. I'll put some plus gas on it for now, and I'm going to leave that to penetrate. So I'll be back having another go at this another day. Here's all my nice lovely stuff that's come to rebuild the engine. I've got a full set of gaskets and seals. There's the oil seals there, the snap ring bearing at the top and the other bearings. There's a bag of gaskets for the drain plug. I've got everything really. I even managed to find some Type F ATF oil on eBay, and actually if you want to buy it in the shops in Britain it's called Mercon V. Okay, so here we are, back another day. So the cotter pin was bent on the threaded bit, the threads were all clonged, so I left the nut on a bit at the top to protect it, heated it up after I'd left it in plus gas for a bit, hoping that that would free it off. I started gently tapping it, nothing happened, got gradually harder and harder, and ended up destroying the nut itself because it flattened the end of it off. So I took the nut off, and basically, long story short, I ended up snapping the end of the cotter pin off because it was weakened anyway, because it was bent. So then I tried knocking it out with a drift, and that doesn't work either, even with heat. And even having soaked it in plus gas, that wasn't enough, unfortunately. So I'm a bit stumped, and I can't rebuild this engine until I've taken this off, because this cover won't come off until the kick starts off. So unfortunately, that might be it for now. I'll try and get another video out on this in 2 weeks. If not, we'll move on to the next bike, because I think you'll really like it. But hopefully there'll be an engine rebuild video on this soon. I'll continue the project, give you some finishing touches. Thanks for watching, guys.